So, first question I have here. I think we can all agree that this idea of the 9 to 5 is pretty much on its way out. It's disappearing, and we no longer work set fixed hours. And how do you enable employees to be more efficient and collaborative and successful when they are not in the physical workspace? So what are the technologies that are required to enable this transformation out of a 9 to 5 mentality? Why don't we start with you, and then anybody else that wants to jump in, go for it.
So I would say in our workplace, because we start out with a really collaborative, open environment, people are way more productive when they're not in the office, which may be contrary to what people think. And I say that by thinking about they're way more productive when they have to do kind of thinking time. In the office, they're way more productive because they are collaborating. And the work today in this day and age is really complex, and you can't do it on your own. So it really takes a village to get stuff done. And so we help them by just having the technology tools that we all use and work with in our normal lives, connected laptops, phones, FaceTime, texting, Slack, all those kinds of things.
Yep. I'm actually really curious. How many of you guys work 9 to 5? Not a single person in here works 9 to 5?
No bankers.
Okay, so that clearly shows the world that we are now living in. Anybody else want to jump in and add to that?
Did 9 to 5 ever really exist in Silicon Valley? So you'll have people in support roles where 9 to 5, well, it won't exist. There'll be a shift when you're doing the support. So we're supporting a global infrastructure. You're supporting the East Coast. You have different time zones, different time frames to go. So for the technical side, 9 to 5 was never really there. That being said, with a distributed workforce, you still have to empower them to be a part of your infrastructure. And with things like, there's that new thing, telepresence, a robot. You've seen that? There's integrations for CRM into telephony. So you can give them a home office that's like being in the office. And for the most part, that's great for these people to work. But one of the things that I want to call attention to is if they don't have the human interaction, that can become a problem. So we have to empower through visual as well as through the technology that allows them to work.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll just say one quick thing. I think work is so different. And I think depending on the type of work that you do, that really determines the arrangement that makes the most sense. And so when we look across Cisco at all of the different functions, there's flexibility to figure it out. And it's funny, what I would say is you can go through periods of time where you don't have to come in. And then you go through periods of time where every day you need to be in and you need to be seen. And so I think for us, it depends on the work. And we want to make sure that we have all of the different vehicles that leaders and employees can choose from.
I would add to that. So, it depends on the work, depends on the job. It also depends on the person. I mean, there's different personalities that thrive in the office, face-to-face, collaborating together. There's other personalities that are very productive at home. So we really, we've not really established a formal policy at NetSuite. We allow managers to make that decision based on the personality of the worker, the content of the work, the job that they're doing. And we make sure we've got the technology nailed so they can collaborate remotely, and then the office space nailed with the open collaboration environment and the boards, the whiteboards people can write on and share information with. So really, it has to be a balance, I think.
Did you want to share?
For me, it's in this environment, it's global, to his point, right? And so to serve people, to serve the world, you have to be flexible. And so I've seen so many employees and leaders especially that work early mornings, Monday, Tuesday, middle of the day, Wednesday, to cover certain aspects of employee base, and then later on Thursday, and then something else on Friday, and maybe I start doing my email a little bit on Sunday. But they make this harmony. I won't call it a balance. It's a harmony of how do I do my outreach. And the more you have a global workforce and the tempo in which you're working, the connectivity that you demand, it's not what you need, it's really what you demand, right? Nothing worse than losing your network. How many of you lost your network recently? I know, it's the worst thing. And so headphones and connectivity and laptop and how you communicate is really, really relevant. But I think in today's workforce, it's meeting the needs where you need to meet them.
So I have to add, and I kind of let everybody else talk before I did my shameless advertising of our own product. But we have just an amazing set of products with Jive that we use within our own company that allows for real-time communication, connecting with anybody, anywhere. All of our work gets done in the product. So it doesn't really make any difference if I'm in the office or on the road or in another country. Everything I need is right there in the Jive product. So I'm supposed to be just talking about future of work, but I had to throw Jive in there.
We don't blame you. And so, one of the cool things that a lot of people probably don't know about Cisco is that a lot of employees there don't have desks. And when I went to go visit Cisco's offices at Building 10, if you go into a conference room or to an environment, the lighting will adjust to you, the temperature will adjust to you, the contacts and stuff like that you're working on will magically beam down to whatever device that you're using. So I think that's a really cool example of how technology enables various types of work as well.
It's sometimes scary because the technology can also find you. And so if you're trying to hide, you can't because it says, hey, Fran is in this office right now hiding from you.
Yeah, I remember seeing that when you walk in, there are like these screens there, and you could just, on a screen, you put somebody's name or their badge, I forgot what it is, and it tells you where they are, and it gives you a little map to how to get to them.
It's so cool.
So it's really cool to see
and
that.
Wrong.
Yeah.
It's cool and wrong.
Cool and wrong. So Steve, speaking of technologies, what sort of new technologies are you seeing pop up? I'm sure you keep an eye out on what's going on in the tech space. What are you seeing happening?
There's way too many right now. The idea of having a home office that's connected as a part of the central office, the headquarters. So what we're looking at right now, is there a one-box solution that gives that kind of connectivity, if you like? So I mentioned earlier you can give them a desk phone. It's a part of our PBX. So they can use an internal number. You can give them telepresence or some form of seeing each other when they speak. You can give them ways of communicating. But it's disparate amounts of technology. It's different technology. Wouldn't it be nice if there was one device or one place you could go to where you're fully connected? So even in the sense of these, everybody has VPN if they work remotely. We have auto-sensing VPN. It knows when you want to go online in our infrastructure, and it turns itself on. So we try to make things simple, but the problem is there's many solutions that we need to do that with. So what I want to see is that one-box solution where we can plug you into your network and you're in ours. It does exist in some sense already. I won't mention names since this is a Jive house, but it does exist in some sense already, but it's not ready for prime time yet.
Do you think that a lot of organizations are doing a good enough job of giving employees the tools that they need to succeed to communicate and collaborate, or can companies be doing better?
It's a double-edged sword. For you to understand the needs of the employees, you have to talk to them. You have to listen to what they're saying. We can't dictate what IT is anymore. We can't give you a bottom-up approach. We can give you the infrastructure and the baseline, but we can't dictate to you what it's going to be. So if you don't have that presence where you can talk to people, if you don't have your HR business partners where you have that visibility, you probably won't know how bad it feels for you. So there's the technology portion of it, and there's the communication portion, which is really important, which is, I'm guessing, one of the reasons why I'm here.
Yeah.
I think to some extent it's individuals, people in our personal lives, we have better technology than sometimes we have when we walk into our companies. And I think to the extent that people expect to be able to look at a person, either on their cell phone or on their screen, to get them right away, to be able to have access to communities of people, not just one-on-one communication, but communities of people like that. We have to mirror the rest of the world, that we have in our other lives, in our companies. And I don't think those companies are there yet.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Well, that's the challenge as well. That's the shadow IT. That's the bring your own device. The double-edged sword is we need to empower people, but we also need to protect the enterprise. And if we don't do the visibility portion on why we're doing this, we're Big Brother stopping you doing your work. So again, back to the communication, but yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the biggest challenges we face in trying to onboard employees. It isn't a one-size-fits-all technology package that you have to give them. There's data privacy and security that you have to be mindful of, but the employees, particularly the millennials that we'll talk about, they walk in expecting that they're going to have the same kind of user experience and user interface that they have with their iPhone and with their friends on Instagram and LinkedIn and FaceTime, and we really struggle with trying to explain to them why we're not there yet. And we're trying to keep up as fast as we can as corporations, but boy, trying to get this stuff through my legal and security department is crazy.
Sorry.
Yeah.